Pardon me. Hey, everybody. We're... hold on. We're going to be starting the second episode of Who Knows in just a couple moments. Mark just joined in, so he is going to be my second guest. And let's see. Add him in. Mark!
It's so nice to see you.
So nice to see you.
Oh, this makes me really happy. I have this
Me too.
my setup is really bad. I had this I don't even want to get into it. What's going on?
Nothing. Finally getting a chance to talk to you.
I know, yeah.
Yeah.
Rescheduling, but that's okay. I think
It works out. At some point it does.
yeah, I think it's good to be a little spontaneous and not have to be so and rigid. I think
I mean, that was kind of going into this. I was just like, you know what? I don't know how often this is really going to happen. Like having a 3-year-old just never knowing when he's going to nap, basically, or go to bed. But
well, and it's like me and my friend Jamie Monta started a podcast, and we've been trying to navigate doing our second episode and everything like that, and eventually there'll be points where I'll stress out or she'll stress out, and then we're like, wait, this is supposed to be fun, it's not supposed to be serious. So
it's so weird because it's like you start these projects because you're like, oh yeah, this will be a fun little thing to do on the side, and they're just like, no, this is a serious passion project now, we got to do this.
You're like, oh man, I'm full on in this, and I gotta deliver because what are you drinking? Root beer?
Oh yeah.
Barks.
It's the go-to.
Wow.
It's got the bite, as they say.
So good.
Man, so what are you up to?
Nothing. Just I'm applying for grad schools.
Nice.
And, I graduated SVA in May.
Yeah.
So
I loved seeing the stuff that you're sharing from your grad show, or the exhibit.
Oh yeah, thank you. The bigger larger scale installation stuff was all there were either end of the semester presentations, or they were gallery shows that I was able to exhibit in. And but I kind of had to shift my whole body of work the tail end of the semester of my last semester because of COVID. So I had to transport all of my stuff to my house, and I had to finish the rest of the semester
in your house.
In my house.
Yeah, I can imagine that being pretty interesting.
Yeah,
especially because some of those works were pretty good size, and you're covering it all in paint.
Yeah,
they're were you spray painting or just
well, those the yellow rooms, there's I have one installation that has it's a giant yellow room, and that was just house paint.
Okay.
And then I have another one that was a red color, and it was actually I couldn't get any I couldn't get that exact color that I wanted. The paint stores were they're yeah, that color's too bright, and so I had to buy 12 of these Liquitex cadmium free reds, and I used that as.
Damn, that's a lot of painting.
I know. Well, and it was I was kind of stoked about it because I was oh dude, Liquitex will totally give me a sponsorship. Right. They didn't even, but they never even responded to me.
Listen, guys, I just bought 12 of these. Come on,
full immersive installation I just made, out of your product, and I didn't get anything out of it.
They're missing out. They'll come back in a couple years.
Did you make this grid on the back of your?
Yeah.
So
Thanks. It's a little shoddy. There's like
I
some lines where I was just like I was using a ruler, and then others where I was just like, well, I did the pencil and ruler, so I'll just like freehand
yeah,
the paint. I don't
I think
know.
it's kind of good though. I like it has like a like a like a childlike kind of vibe, you know, because it like is
Oh, for
not
sure.
the metric and
Yeah. I mean, I'm not that great of a drawer, or at least like straight line drawer, but definitely like having a kid, I'm just like
yeah,
I can make whatever. Like
yeah,
this is fucking rad. I don't
really,
have to like yeah, I could draw something and he'll just be like, "Yep, you just drew what I told you to draw." I'll be like,
yeah.
"Uh-huh. Yeah, that totally looks like it."
So how does it feel to be a dad?
It's been it's been a lot. It's been like, oh man, quite the experience.
You like you've always like you're so sweet and like you're so like soft and gentle that like I could like even back when I knew you like 10 years ago I was like oh like you'll be a good dad like you
Oh,
know,
thanks.
like
Thanks. Yeah, I definitely didn't think I was gonna be a dad.
yeah
But I mean, it's been, I think honestly, like aside from like the really like basic like taking care of a human being, like this is a crazy experience and like totally learning about myself. But it's like a weird thing like learning about like my parents too, like,
yeah
oh, that's what they meant, like, or
yeah
that's why they didn't do that. Like, I mean, you get those like as you get older. I had a lot of those even before like having Maz, where I was just like, oh yeah, this is probably why I shouldn't have like gone here or like did this thing
hmm
and
funny how we turn into like our parents eventually we,
yeah,
we try to we grow up like striving to be completely against that but somehow still reverting into that you know
it's like ingrained in us.
yeah and so like um I don't know but I think it's great I mean I think like people our age that have kids um are being able to like teach the kids like some really you know amazing open you know types of ideas and stuff like that so I think that
For
kids that
sure.
growing up around this age are going to be like really well rounded.
I hope so. I mean, that was always one of my old bosses when I worked at a coffee shop. I mean, she was very like free spirited. She was a holistic nutrition, so like she had like those kind of vibes. And she's like, she was like the same age as us. She's like, you know, it's gonna be our children. Our children are gonna be the one that they're gonna like save the earth. They're gonna flip it all around, and like everything's gonna make sense.
Yeah,
I was just like, I hope so. If I have a kid, I hope that's like part of what he like something that he can be a part of.
yeah,
So I mean, I guess in all hopes, like all these kids are just going to be like crazy, creative problem solvers and super
yeah,
gentle, uh, peace believing or peace loving individuals, you
yeah.
know. But like, so you have like a niece and nephew, or
I have godchildren. My
okay,
godchildren are Jeff Inkenbauer and Sarah Inkenbauer's kids.
because you were teaching them some art earlier this year, right?
I was doing some like Zoom, like just like little art classes, and it was a lot of fun. And we talked about like pop art and modernism and cubism, and then we like created this like you know I would show like these different like styles, and then I'm like, okay, well, you can choose one of these four that we're going to explore today, and then but you can also take from the other ones too if you want. You know what I mean? And
Sure.
but yeah, it was cute, and
Yeah.
I I'm trying to like I want to get my master's in fine arts so I can teach like at the college level. I think.
Yeah. That'll be awesome. I mean, you'd be a great teacher.
Yeah, I don't know if I could do kids though because I have like I think I would be like eventually I'm like okay this is like not for me.
Yeah, that's it's like yeah, I can see it being really strange where it's like, they're like receptive to it. Like they're definitely taking something from it, but they're also kind of destructive and
Yeah, they
like
don't know
I
what.
don't give a fuck.
So I don't know, but yeah, like I think it's all like I think like arts education is like really really important, and I think it's really vital that that's even a thing that's in the school, like in schools, which I think is slowly depleting every waking moment.
I know, sadly.
And I don't know.
Um, were you are you from Omaha originally?
Yeah, where are you from?
Okay. I'm from a small town in Pennsylvania.
I knew I thought it was Pennsylvania, but I couldn't remember.
Okay, because I wasn't sure because you're like visiting family over the summer, right?
Oh yeah, I was up in Wisconsin.
Okay, so I wasn't sure if you're visiting like you're back home in Wisconsin visiting.
Uh, no, like I was born and raised in Omaha, and
Okay.
but my grandparents lived up in Wisconsin, so I would go up there every like summer and like just like chill, you know.
Yeah, I mean it looked like a super chill spot.
Yeah, like it's on this like lake, and um the Sargento Cheese Company is like down the street. And uh, I always think that like I found this information out like a few years back, and like my dad told me like my grand like the birth and the invention of packaged shredded cheese was invented in my grandparents' living room at dinner.
What?
My grandparents like, and then like the two families that created Sargento cheese, they were like, I guess they were friends, and they were having a party, and
Just
they
like, oh man, I wish we just had some
yeah we
shredded cheese, and then oh man, now we have so much shredded cheese.
yeah. So that's I don't know. So that's a little fun fact about me.
That's an awesome little fun fact. That's such a
Well, it's like
interesting.
think about that stuff too, like the most mundane things on the planet. Like, do we ever really give too much thought into like how like what was the process of that? And then you're like, oh, that is kind of a really cool,
Yeah. And
cool.
that like being around kids, it's totally that.
Yeah,
Like it's just like they like you just tell them something because you're just like, yeah, this is how it's been or what I know. And like they're like, how? Why? Like show me. Like just like calling you out.
you gotta give me a little proof here.
What's that?
No, I was like that's like what kids are. They're
Oh,
skeptical and like
for
curious.
sure.
What are you guys gonna be for Halloween?
Um, I mean, I have like one costume that I got like a few years ago, back when I was in a band out here briefly with Jason Meyer and a few other people.
Cool. What did
Yeah.
you?
I played drums.
No one wants to. I mean, we all need a drummer, but no one wants to be the drummer.
I liked it. I mean, I didn't mind it.
Carry the gear around.
Well, yeah, that's like the worst part. You're just like you like you're the roadie, but you're also your own roadie. You're like
Yeah,
the whole band roadie and times two, carrying your own shit.
my
Um,
Joey was the drummer for a band in Omaha with Jeff Inkenbauer and Annie D and I think a few other people that they rotated. But uh, my partner is like a multidisciplinary artist. He knows like how to like do every musical instrument, and he's all self-taught. And
yeah,
um, but like drums is it's like such a like a mathematical equation almost.
it's strange. I mean, I like, I watch a lot of drum videos now, even though I don't like practice or anything like that. But it's just like, it's like mind blowing. I found like this, he's probably like maybe college age, maybe like coming out of high school, but like he like practices and drums along with like really phenomenal jazz drummers, like classic jazz drummers. And so like he like has like the video that he's like mimicking as he's doing it.
Oh,
And I'm just like, what? Like, how is this done?
I think I've seen that guy.
Yeah, he has like a little kit set up and then like his laptop on the side.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he comes up on my Instagram a lot. That's what I spend a lot of my like spare time is just like watching drummers.
Yeah. Like I was like at the beginning of quarantine, I've never played a musical instrument, but like I'm like a huge like music lover and I like know all this like these like, weird bands or whatever, and but I never like knew how to play any instruments, and I started teaching myself bass at the beginning of the pandemic, and
Yeah,
I caught on to it like that, and you
it's
know,
fun.
it is fun. It's so good.
Because
So
you want to start a cover band, right?
yeah, me and my partner Joey, we're gonna do like this experimental like covers album of whole songs.
Okay.
So it's gonna be like chamber pop. So it's gonna be like very like cathedral,
Mm,
but also like dark and very I don't know. It's gonna be like doom music.
okay. I I'm gonna sound really bad, but I don't know much of Hole.
What?
But like I'll have to brush up on it for when you start recording those.
You don't know like doll parts? You can't think of.
I'm You're gonna hate me. I only know Celebrity Skin.
Oh, see, but I love that song, and a lot of the like. Did you know Billy Corgan like helped write that song?
I didn't.
That's why I think it's one of like their better songs is because I think Billy contributed to it. There's like all these people showing
Yeah.
up.
Hey,
Oh,
Jenna.
Jen is so sweet.
Yeah.
So what else is new? What have you been working on?
I've had like thoughts of projects pop up in here. Like this was one of them. This is like the like interview or podcast idea. Like I've had like probably for a year where I was just like I want to interview artists. Like as a creative person, I'm just want like I don't know. I feel like we vibe better together. Like creative people when they're like talking, we just like can just exaggerate or continue like all these different thoughts for so long. Not trying to say like other people that aren't creative can't,
Yeah,
but there's just like the like I don't know, you're on like the same wavelength usually. And it's
yeah.
just been
I think it's I think even when I was in school, like the my teachers were always talking about the importance of community and keeping in touch with like fellow artists and I mean I think we're all very like artists as a whole are very emotionally sensitive, you know. So
yeah,
we need that validation and that connection with other artists just to kind of help us prolong and to propel our career in whatever way that is. And uh, so, yeah, I think I agree. I think it is really good to keep in touch with everybody. And,
yeah.
you
I
know,
think there's also like I mean maybe not now as much, but there's always that like competition amongst people or like even if it's like self-created competition where you're just like I need to be better than like this person. Oh, I think we lost your audio. I still can't hear you. Okay, well I guess Mark had to leave for a second to try to reconnect, get his audio working. Hello everybody, thank you for coming to the second episode. This is cool. um, I don't really have much during like improv for these moments. So let's see. Oh, there's Mark. Maybe. Yes. All right. I think we're.
sorry about
All
that.
right. No, you're fine.
I muted all my like notifications, and I was like, oh, no one will get a hold of me. And then somebody tried to FaceTime me, and I'm like, they screwed up the whole thing.
Jeez.
You know?
Come on. How
So,
funny.
but
Um,
no,
yeah.
I think this is fun.
Yeah. Cool. Good. I mean, I think that was like my one thing, like watching interviews. I'm just like, I hate how rehearsed these things seem all the time. Like just like late night shows particularly. Um, like I'm gonna talk some shit. I hate Jimmy Fallon.
Yeah, I don't think he's very funny.
No, he's like I feel like he's not real. He's not sincere.
Yeah,
And like I've pointed it out to people and they've been like, "Oh, now I can't watch him because like I see like that like
that
uh,
the
yeah,
show
yeah,
is
I'm
what
just
I'm
ugh.
going along. Yeah, like kooky and
Yeah. So that's kind of like part of this and just like having like a community, excuse me, talking about art, sharing our art, hopefully connecting more people with like new people, just creating more of a network, especially during quarantine time.
yeah,
Because I feel like, we're all like trying to get out in some way. We're just like, we want connection somehow with people. And, people have found it doing like Zoom parties. Um, and then just like doing more FaceTime. Like, I feel like people are kind of getting uh, a little more comfortable with it, I guess.
yeah.
But I think it's super important, just like in these dark times, to
What
have,
like what a year that like I mean anything that you could think of that could go wrong has gone wrong.
yeah,
And it's kind of I mean it's just like an avalanche of just like and it's almost surreal. Like if you and it's for me like I haven't left my house hard maybe like I don't even know like hardly ever.
sure,
And so like I feel like I'm in this weird bubble, like my own world, you know? And so when I watch these things like on television or like on the internet, I'm like, whoa, like this is so surreal and I feel so like disconnected from the outside world. But I'm also like still a part of it, but in this really weird like digital way.
sure, yeah. It's strange because like you're in New York City, so like you're used to like a lot of like hustle and bustle, like everything's like
Oh yeah.
moving, and I'd imagine it's definitely not as crazy, right?
Well, I'll tell you, like the pandemic first started, like when I had to shift everything to my house, I had to go pick up my supplies from school, and the whole city was there wasn't a car or a person in sight, and it was really weird. Did you ever see Vanilla Sky with Tom Cruise? It's
Yeah.
that like the
Ooh.
it was really, I mean, so bizarre and
Yeah, that's
really eerie, and you know. But it was in a way it was a little poetic because it was like this like almost this like vast emptiness. I don't know, but like uh, I do think that like there's been this weird cultural shift where like our reality. This was my what my senior thesis was all about was basically like our reality has become online, and the reality we once knew out in public has become not so much the reality that we live in. Does that
yeah.
make sense?
Yeah. We're like
Like we're like all like Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz, transcended and transported to like another dimension.
yeah, the one where you're just like where it just seems a little off.
Yeah, it
Not sure why.
yeah, like almost like the Truman Show or something. Like it feels very I don't know.
Well, we do live in a simulation, supposedly.
I believe in that stuff. You believe in UFOs, Chris?
What's that?
Do you believe in UFOs?
Oh yeah.
I've seen a
Oh,
few.
Oh, I like I haven't seen any, but like or like seen like proof, I guess, but like 100%. Like there's there's definitely aliens. Like I believe in UFOs. Like that just can't like that has to exist.
Right? Like it would be really selfish for all of us to think that we're the only things that are inhabiting this universe, a vast universe that
That's the thing, is that it's like a huge mass
we
universe.
don't
It's
even know,
like,
you know?
yeah, it's not just us floating around on a little blue dot.
Yeah. There's a many of those, going
Yeah.
out.
Interestingly enough, today I found out that there's a cult of people that don't believe in outer space.
Oh, I love those kinds of people. I think that they're so weird and so interesting. Like flat earth people. I
Well,
like
not like going past like flat Earth. That's just like
yeah, they just don't believe.
it's just like how do you not believe in anything outside of like Earth?
Yeah, or like yeah, what's around?
Or like yeah, like oh no, it's just like this like flat. Like we're all just walking parallel.
Well, and it's just like yeah, I find it really interesting because I'm like, how did you even get to that point where you think that this is like kind of you came to this theory? And so I'll look into that because I like that kind of stuff. Like
It's so weird because it's like as time has evolved, like we've evolved and like technology has like shown us. And
but
so it's just
that's like they're like the people that have that technology are the ones that are creating the sim the
oh,
who knows.
sure.
I'll look into that.
Oh, you should. Should do one of your podcasts about UFOs.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. I was talking to my friend. She lives in Omaha, and she was telling me that she has a good friend that's been. He lives downtown. I'm getting more information about it, so if anyone's interested, I can update you. But this person has been capturing images of UFOs for the past 6 months outside of their window.
Whoa.
So that's pretty good.
Sorry.
I think
Oh,
that. So I think that
yeah, that would be really fun.
under some kind of alien attack or something. Who
Why not
knows?
Omaha?
Yeah, why not? Nothing
We're,
else on there.
I love that that's a thing. It's like nothing happens in Omaha. It's like
Oh,
there's some weird shit that happens here.
dude, seriously, some of probably the weirdest things that have ever happened to me in my whole entire life have happened in that city.
I
And
believe it.
well, and
There's
it's like
just
I think it's funny because I think Omaha breeds like people believing that they're bulletproof too. Like we have this really like this feeling that like nothing can ever like penetrate or like affect us or you know what I mean?
yeah.
Which I think a noble trade and like a noble like mindset to have, but it's also like sometimes it's not used properly, you
Yeah.
know. So I don't know.
That'll be fun. I'm
So when
excited.
uh,
Um oh,
are
sorry.
oh I was gonna ask when are the local elections for mayor and governor?
Next year.
Okay, good. That'd be good.
Not soon enough.
Yeah. You live in Portland for like? Did you move to Portland for a
I,
second?
for a year. Yeah, for a
Yeah,
second. Yeah.
and you came back.
Yeah, it like so funny like I moved out there like maybe 2 or 3 months after Tim Party. And so like I got to like drink with him a couple times, which is like kind of like old times like drinking with Tim like we were in Omaha. Then he ended up moving back to Omaha um, before now moving to and living in New York City. Seems where like everywhere you guys go, it's like everybody from Omaha ends up with
Yeah,
ends up
it,
in New York.
or like or Portland. There's a lot of people from Omaha that moved
That's
to.
true. There are still some out there. I think a couple people I worked with
Yeah,
at different times ended
I,
up out there.
I've always valued that about Omaha though, is the sense of like even if you didn't weren't like really close with a certain person, if that person, or if like you move to like a different city and that person is from Omaha and has also moved there, um, it's almost like an unwritten law that you have to like have their back, you know, and
Oh, sure.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like your crew.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, this like network that's kind of, you know, infiltrates the rest of the nation. And I've actually been to a lot of like parties out of like, you know, in random places, and I either knew like like their friend was somebody that I knew from Omaha, or like it's just like really weird. Like there was a really strange Omaha connection that kind of
It's
connect.
strange. It's strange that it's like that since like the thing that always like the thing that drew me back to Omaha was that I felt like it was such a small town, and not in a bad way. Like I loved that like it felt like my hometown, even though my hometown was like maybe 8,000 people.
Hmm.
But like I still felt connected with like there's a lot of people here, but I still felt like a really small good connection between like everybody that I knew or met. And so like it's I think that's such a cool thing that like even like moving out of Omaha, you can like go to these other places and like meet someone from there that knows someone, or you meet or like you end up at the same place as someone that you knew, and just like there's like that like I don't know, it's kind of like heartwarming, I guess, in a
Yeah,
sense.
endearing. It's
Yeah,
like,
endearing. Yeah,
you know,
that's
it's like it makes you feel good.
yeah.
So
You're just like, oh, well, all right. Even if like maybe you didn't like them or they didn't like you, it's still just like, well, we're the only Omaha people here right now, so like,
we're in this all alone together, so we might, you know. But man, I do like I was excited to move out of Omaha when I left in like 2012, and I was really like, I think it was like my time to go. But
hmm
you know, and I thought to myself, I was like, oh, I'm never gonna really enjoy going back there and stuff like that. But um, every time I do go back, I really I enjoy myself,
good.
and I love it. You know, I mean, that is like my quote unquote like hometown, like where I grew up, and it's where I
Yeah,
all you know all my friends, and I don't know, but is there? So you in Benson? Do you live in Benson?
I do. Yep. It was weird because I talked some shit on Benson when I first moved back. Because I
Uh,
first moved back around 2011, and so I was like, "Oh, Benson's all cool now. Like,
yeah,
they got more than just the waiting room."
yeah they have like three now instead of just two. Yeah,
Yeah. So it's just like whatever. It's like it's a yuppie place now. And then like uh during that time I was living in like Midtown, and kind of like um around Park Avish a little bit. So like just a little bit west of downtown, but like so I felt like there's like I had some edge. Some like
but
yeah, had some grit. But then like Midtown became Blackstone, and like
it since it turned into that.
and now I don't go there because I'm just
Yeah,
like that is like
that's
that's
quintessential yuppie.
yeah. I don't need any part in any of what's there.
My dad told me about that. He's like, dude, he's like that whole area has changed, and it's
But
like Blackstone, like where like Brothers is, and kind of past.
dude, I mean I don't I know I should go there sometime, but I don't drink anymore.
Yeah, hard to
It's
support.
what's that?
It's hard to go and support places that are like alcohol when you
Yeah.
drink.
Well, so like when I was starting not to drink as much, I did go there and like they always had root beer, so that always like made me really happy. Like just like a glass bottle of root beer.
Oh,
So I'd
nice.
always be and like, Trey and Leia are amazing.
Oh, the
So
best.
they're just like I want to go there, but I just feel weird being the guy not drinking.
Oh, yeah, I know.
But like seeing brothers amongst
all that other stuff.
Oh my God, it's so I love it. Like it's like such a fuck you, and it's like it feels so them, like so
Yeah.
like we own this property. You're not gonna get it. Like you're gonna deal with us.
And I think it's funny if you when you think about it that like the legendary like this the enigma that's around Brothers is
Hmm.
why they decided to redevelop that whole strip.
Yeah.
And so it's like it all
Well,
comes
even
full.
it's weird because even I guess I don't know what to call it now. Middle House was what I was introduced to.
Yep.
So like that's still standing there. It still looks the same.
Are there kids like still renting those out?
I think in one of the portions, I think there are because that one's a little bit trashier.
Yeah.
The far it'd be on the right, I
Oh,
guess.
okay.
Yeah,
Man, those
but
houses were. I like. Did other people experience that like outside of Omaha? Were there like these
punk
like
houses
party houses?
or party houses, I, there was like one in my hometown, but like I never went to them because my parents wouldn't allow me.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was like one of the bands that would play in our hometown. They all like owned a house or rented a house. One of the guys owned a house, and so they would throw like basement shows. Not like a lot of the time, but like just kind of like, hey, there's like we're gonna do an after show kind of
Yeah.
thing. And so like I always heard about it, and I was like, oh man, that would be so cool. But like, I mean, like the bands, like obviously big bands really like came out of Omaha, and
Yeah.
like just even like just thinking about like experiencing some of those like shows would have like I mean I can't say I saw any since I moved here originally back in like 2009 or 2008.
It's that you the boat was already kind of
Yeah, I was right after they like I don't remember what came out on Saddle Creek in those years. But whatever.
but it was weird because but you worked at American Apparel back in the day,
Hmm.
and I worked at Urban Outfitters, and that
Yep.
was the result. Those buildings were like the result of everything that came before. So like the
Yeah.
of that Saddle Creek Records was able to establish all of that, which is really really cool.
Yeah, because it's nice because they still have their like their headquarters is there, and then they help start the theater on the corner,
Oh yeah,
and so like and that's a huge. Now they have like two locations, so
oh
it's
yeah,
like
dreams.
film streams. It's just like they've done a lot of really good creative things in Omaha. So like I mean I love that Saddle Creek was able to do something that like productive, like where it was just like what we're gonna spend this money on some property. Unfortunately, it didn't work out for Urban and American Apparel.
Yeah, they're all right. Didn't didn't Urban just move out west?
Oh yeah, they're in the outdoor mall.
Yeah, the point.
Yep,
They'll be perfect there. Like
totally. Like
that.
when I heard that, I was like, that makes sense. Yep,
Yeah,
that's honestly where American Apparel should have been too.
yeah. When you think about it,
Like when I lived out in Portland, I worked at like I transferred out there to American Apparel, and it was like south of Portland, like in a suburb, in an outdoor mall,
yeah,
and like they did a lot of business.
crazy.
And it was across from an Urban Outfitter.
Oh yeah, I think they always were like in close proximity, which is.
Yeah.
But my parents live out in Elkhorn, and back in the like I don't even know, maybe like even like 10 years ago, like it was like not very developed. But now I think all of Omaha is like really pushing to be more out west,
It
and
is. It's strange. There's like so many weird developments like out of like nowhere.
yeah,
And it's just like there's so much untapped potential like in Omaha that we still have to like we have to expand into our suburbs to be considered like a big metro.
Yeah. Look at all this attention we're getting. We're getting all these hearts by
I
somebody.
know.
What is that?
I know it
Nah.
doesn't say who we're getting hearts from,
Nice.
unfortunately. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Yay. We're doing this.
Um,
Um,
well, I think Omaha is. I'm excited. I think that there's gonna be some cool stuff that's happening
yeah.
there, and there's still. I mean, there's still such an amazing amount of like really cool people that live there that are like making moves and making change, and you know, I have faith in that city.
Yeah. And I feel like it can attract some people back.
Oh yeah.
Um, like I feel like even like I would run into a couple people that like I knew like when I first lived here and that they moved away and they were like coming back to visit and they're just like, "Oh wow, like, you know?"
It's crossed my mind a few times. I'm like, man, maybe I should go back, but
Eh, I mean,
that's a
you're in
long.
New you're in New York City, like yeah, you got that.
And I don't want to be here anymore. It's like too.
Well, do you really want to be in Omaha right now?
Yes, I miss having a yard. I miss having. Uh,
But with all the COVID,
see, but yeah, that's where you guys got it wrong. Is you guys have like been really reckless with it.
yeah, like you're in New York, so you're a little bit. I mean, obviously there's a lot more of a population, but somehow they've
It
figured out how to control it.
was like, dude, it was so nuts. I can't even, you know. I don't know, but like if I had a like if I had the opportunity to like live in the Midwest right now, I would just like live out in a field somewhere,
Oh,
you know?
for sure. I mean, depending on what happens in the next 3 days, might have to buy some land.
Oh yeah, why?
Election. Yeah, I mean, if we have to suffer another 4 years,
Yeah, oh yeah. Just
it's
start a
like,
commune.
yeah, just everybody. Well, yeah. I mean, kind of culty, but maybe not
I mean,
culty.
you know, who cares?
Sure,
Call it what you want,
sure.
you know?
Oh, that kind of like brings me to there's like another point in us talking that I wanted to like talk about this, but because I feel really bad because I never caught one of them. But can you talk about the like art shows that you were having before you moved to New York City from Omaha? They were with you and your friend Nick.
Oh yeah.
Like I always saw the posters and I got to see like things that happened like afterward, and I was just like, that's pretty fucking cool. So, would you mind talking about that and like,
So, yeah. So back in like I don't know, it was like maybe 2010 to 2012, maybe 2013. I can't remember the date like when I moved out of Omaha, but me and my really good friend Nicholas, we kind of created this like it was like a social experiment. That's what I would say it was because it was
sure,
like we encapsulated social experiment that we had with each other where we created this like really over the top, overly loud like aesthetic in a way that was kind of like full visionary, like multi-sensory like exploration. And so we were kind of really into like performance art and making like our everyday lives be a performative type of thing.
sure,
And then there was a lot of aesthetics with like 80s like club culture and just like a big emphasis on like youth movements, so like punk, like the 60s, like raves in the 80s. And so like we would have these like we had the opportunity to have these like parties at House of Loom when that was still around, and we would um, we would create like a entire like theme around a certain like decade or certain like youth movement
okay,
that was kind of influential, you know, to the cult, you know, to the collective as a whole, like a small, like the punk scene was like such a small, unit within itself, but it's like, its roots spread throughout the rest of modern day music. And
Oh yeah.
so that was kind of like, it was like a celebration of like these like cultural bubbles that bursted and became kind of mainstream.
That's awesome.
So so it was like this, like, I don't know. It was just us having fun and also kind of being a little like kind of a little confrontational. It was kind of political, but also just like a really strange social experiment of like seeing how like bizarre and how far we could push like the normality of like what was considered like beauty standards and just like really strange stuff.
Okay.
But uh-huh.
What was the name of it again?
Church of Tomorrow.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was trying to recall what it was called, but like I was like, I know I had like some kind of religion thing, like church.
Yeah. And, like,
But
it was like just kind of like I mean, it was like an like it was just a collective between me and my friend Nicholas, and we did some really fun stuff. We got to have parties every month,
yeah.
like just have fun and like make these like elaborate like stage like sets, and we did a few videos for Icky Blossoms, which was great. So that was, I mean, in like retrospective, it's kind of like, wow, there was a real expansive collection of work we did, even if all of it wasn't really documented. But
Yeah. Yeah, that's strange because it's like at a certain point in time that like you're like, oh, now I need to document everything. Like everything I do, like I feel like this year has really like pushed people like to like because you can't show people as much. You're just like, I did this thing, but like I don't have like a photo or anything. You didn't experience it with me. So like I don't know, it's kind of weird that now even though we're already kind of like a generation of like overshare.
see, that was gonna be my point, was gonna be like, there's like this line that we have to create, that we somehow have to like maneuver around, that's like, show your stuff, but also like don't show too much, like don't overshare, but share. Like,
Yeah, it's like we care to know, but like,
but do we?
yeah.
I'll tell you the thing about Instagram, and this is just like pure honesty, is that if you take a photo of yourself or like your kid or like you and your significant other, you'll get way more likes. I don't know if this is the algorithm or if it's like facial recognition, but if you post like stuff about your artwork or a musical project you're doing or anything, it's not going to get as much attention.
I believe that. Like, I feel like I know I've had that happen before in the past where it's just like, it's just a picture of my face.
Yeah. And like they'll
Or,
like 200 likes on it.
yeah. It's just like, mm-hmm,
and then you're
okay.
like, here's a zine I printed, and like half of
5.
it, it's really bizarre.
Yeah. I haven't seen that Netflix documentary, and I've talked to a few people about it. Social.
Oh, is it like the social media thing?
Yeah, like where they interview like people that created different social media apps, and like a few people are just like, it's so depressing.
That's what I've heard too. And it's like, my friends watched it and they were like, oh, we went into like a blackout and like like totally like like put all of our social media, like disabled it and for like 3 days. And I was like, I don't know, I mean, I don't know if I want to know that,
Right?
and it's like, if they're going to steal all of our data and all of our information, at least, like, I mean, we're willingly giving it away. At least give us a paycheck, and then you can you want from all of us. You know what I mean? As long as you were funding us to check our
Yeah.
history. I mean, that's just like, but that's just a, a business move in a sense, like how can, how can we profit off of this? Because you guys are profiting off of us.
Yeah.
Like, not an equal exchange, I don't think.
No, I don't. Yeah, I agree. It's very much like it's strange because it's like no matter what you're doing, like your phone is recording you in some way or another. Like it's strange.
Right.
Like
You'll think like even sometimes when you're thinking of something, it will show up on your newsfeed. That's the stuff that
exactly. That's freaky shit.
like I mean, disregard like saying like a word and then having it pop up, but like thinking it and then it showing up. That's where it gets really like very Black Mirror,
It's like, oh, they're implanted in me. Like they have a
They're
chip somewhere.
somewhere, right? I wouldn't put them at this point.
Um, let's kind of briefly talk on your podcast that you're now doing with your friend Jamie. Um, since
Oh,
tomorrow is Halloween, so kind of like make a spooky tie-in.
yeah. So yeah, that's a good idea. So like, me and my friend Jamie, I grew up. Me and Jamie grew up in the music scene in like the early 2000s and like the late 90s, and we were never like close, but then it was funny because during but we've always like vibed really hard, but like every time we would get together, it was like did you ever see Problem Child 2?
I don't know if I saw the second one.
Anyways, it's basically me and Jamie have like we're like Dennis the Menace, like two Dennis the Menaces just like combined. And
Nice.
so we started this podcast that's like kind of focuses on the spirit, like on the supernatural, but then also kind of ties into like pop culture and also like music and kind of like a little bit of current events, but it's all like really lighthearted and it's just supposed to be fun and kind of a little educational, but like I don't want it to be too like rigid because I'm not like that kind of person. Like I can't be historical, so it's very like in like my language,
Sure.
the like information I'm giving out. But it's fun. Like it's we created like a whole like thing. Like so, there's like the podcast. There's like a video element, so you can watch the whole show on YouTube, and then there's like these like really like these like retro like visuals of like 80s commercials playing in the background of the podcast.
Yeah, I loved those.
Yeah, dude, it's so good. And like I was editing that video and I was like, oh man, this is like something I would watch. Like
It's like at first a little distracting, maybe, but then you like get in this like zone where you're just like I was like listening to it kind of late at night and I got a little spooked. I was a little I was like, "Oh man, this is kind of weird" because you guys were talking about the haunted house.
Mystery Manor, yeah.
Yeah, Mystery Manor. And like I didn't know that was like an actual murder house and
So,
like cursed.
well, it's funny. Like, there's going to be more to that story in later episodes.
Okay.
It's going to be like an unfolding story of the
Okay.
house. So what you might know now might not be what you was. It's not exactly what it seems.
Okay.
So who knows? That's all I can reveal.
Nice. It's a
So
good
it's
tie-in.
an adventure. It's like an adventure podcast.
You choose my you guys you're choosing my adventure.
Yes. Yeah. That. Yeah. So
I'm into that. I don't like having to decide.
I don't know, but it's just all good fun and like it's like we also like make like music playlists for like each episode. So like and they're usually kind of like spooky, but I always throw in like a few like dance songs from like the 90s in there, like some ASAP or, something like totally like left field, just to kind of like, mix it up.
Yeah, that's like a true playlist where you're like drawing the listener in, and then you just hit them.
Yeah,
They're
with
like
completely like, what, really?
they'll hate it at first, but then they're just kind of like,
Okay, I'll just, yeah.
yeah, yeah, they got me.
Yep. And it's like, I'll just roll with it, Uh, But yeah, so
Nice.
that's kind of like what the Rip Talk's all about. It's we have like a hotline so you can call this.
Yes, talk about. I'm kind of like lost on the concept. I'll be honest.
So the day, like back in like I mean, like in like the 90s, like you could call these like hotlines and like they would tell you like a story or they would tell you like, like
Okay.
or you could like leave, so it's kind of a little bit of a throwback to those, but it's also like almost like a confessional. So you can call the hotline and just basically like say whatever you want, and you can either like give us like a story, whatever's like on your mind at the moment, or you could just like tell us how your day is, if anything. So
Okay.
you it's like a free range hotline that you can just call, like if you need to just vent or what I mean.
Sure. Yeah, I wasn't sure. Like with the word bank, are those like suggestions of like topics?
So like so word bank is like a is kind of like our this unique terminology that me and Jamie have developed since we started this podcast. So like we have these like so like we'll say things like okay, like trick or treat for instance. So like those words to us would be like trick would be something good or treat would be something negative. So we could say root beer. Is root beer a trick or a treat?
Okay.
And then you would be like, obviously it's a
It's a treat. Yeah.
oh yeah, no, a treat. Yeah, that's it. I'm sorry. Did I get that wrong? Trick
Oh,
is something negative. Treat is something good.
yeah.
Yeah. So it's obviously a treat.
Yeah. I think unless it's tricking me.
I don't know. See, and I mean, that's the mystery of life, isn't it? Do we
It
ever?
is.
So
The things we'll never know.
I so I don't know. It's just like this, I don't know. It's just this thing that we're doing. It's just to goof off and to have a good time and
Yeah. Such
make
a
your friends to listen to and have them question your sanity and
just have total meltdowns.
yeah. Plus, like me and Jamie are both like really eccentric human beings. So when you
Okay.
have two like personalities just kind of clash, it's just I don't know. I find it appealing that I get to be a part of it, but it's also appealing to watch me talk to this other person that's like equally unhinged,
Sure.
But it's funny. It's just like it's all in good fun, and I mean, we have all this free time right now, so you might as well utilize it to your advantage.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. You've started a few like little side projects like the podcast, and then you started posting all your band t-shirts.
Yeah, I have a huge vintage T-shirt collection. I don't even know. I keep getting more, and I have like
I'm
a.
amazed by it,
Are you really?
honestly. Yeah, like just like there's been a few pictures where like you've showed like your tubs or like stacks, and I'm just like
Like
I've never seen I have maybe
this is like all shirts.
jeez.
And it's funny because like you fold these in a certain way, so like then you can actually just have like way more like shirts in like a smaller space.
That like I honestly maybe have like 5 band t-shirts that I've saved over time.
What are they?
So I have a cursive ugly organ,
Good.
like beefy tee, like original print. Um, what else? my oldest one that I have is a Vans Warped Tour from '98.
That's good. That's a good one. That's when Warped Tour was like actually good.
Yeah, that was like that was so like it's nostalgic to me because it was like my first Warped Tour, and so I was just like, I was like seventh or eighth grade, something like that. So,
Who's the lineup?
um, Real Big Fish,
Yep.
Boss Tones, Rancid, I think.
I like the Mighty Mighty Boss Tones.
I, they out of I'm not a huge ska person,
No,
but
but like if it,
out of all ska, I'd say they aged well.
I think they did too. Like I mean it's like just the right amount of cringe, Like but also it feels good. Like you don't feel
Yeah.
too. Oh yeah, Derek Russell's like social distortion. Yes.
Yeah.
But
uh,
it's okay, so you have that the cursive and then
oh, um, I recently found um, I found a Joy Division shirt, an Unknown Pleasure.
Mhm.
Um, it's in, I forget which language it's in, but it was printed by Ink Tank. So I was like, oh, what a funny shirt to find at a thrift store where it's like the Unknown Pleasure zigzags, but it's in like
And wedge.
yeah, different language, and then just like printed locally. I was like, perfect.
See, I mean, those shirts were like that design is like so classic now, and it's
Yeah,
like I can't. I mean, I've seen it. I see it all the time, but it's like there's still a part of me that's just like this. It looks really good.
yeah, like that design will forever live on for
Oh
sure. Like,
yeah, there's like, children wearing those shirts, like unknown pleasure shirts now.
yeah,
It's like an AC/DC shirt now.
yeah,
You know,
just like, oh yeah, that kid knows what's up.
but I'll tell you, like the vintage shirt market is insane. The
I've
people
looked for different shirts.
Dude, and it's gotten really bad. Like I've had stuff in my collection I've had for like 30 years. Like not
Yeah,
even and it's all like stuff that I've just carried on with me, but like like band shirts, like really good stuff is really expensive now. And like in the hundreds of dollars that like I'm not paying that. Like, it's
no,
not worth it. But I go for like uniqueness, design, quirkiness a little bit. I like a little bit of comfort. Like I have some kind of like questionable shirts that are like just like really bizarre, like biker shirts. And
okay, like Americana.
yeah, I have like some really weird like pro American shirts that are like like try burning this. And it's this
Oh,
giant flag, just like just like garbage, like things that garbage people would wear.
sure, but those will go into some kind of historical like thing at some point, I'm sure.
Yeah, well, and it's like I kind of like have like regrets about rethinking like my senior thesis project because what I should have done was just had all of my shirts on like put them all on like the same hanger and just have like a whole wall full of these
Yeah.
shirts that this is mine, but it's not mine because these are like used shirts. And so it's like this kind of like meta concept of like, you know, what's what is ours in possession. You know what I mean? Does that make
Yeah. Yeah. That seems really interesting. I mean, that's like some of those shirts like lived different lives on different bodies.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's like with any kind of thing that's like secondhand, you're like, who owned this before me? You know?
Yeah. What happened in this?
Yeah.
Like,
Or like even like a cooking pot or something. You're like, who was like a little old lady have did she have this for like 50 years before I got possession of it? Or you know what I mean?
yeah,
I don't know.
it's weird. It's a weird like passed down like connection between like like where we've been in the past to like our current like in our present
Yeah.
like um like so like uh with having my son um we got this at the time my wife she got this book where it was 50 or the weeks of birth or whatever like that and just like it's so spot on just like different developmental stages like when your son's at this week this is how they're going to act and I was just like
Like
what in this
the child is born.
yeah yeah
Okay.
just like different like mood swings different characteristics that they pick up um
So
and
it's
I
like
was
astrology for moms. You know,
yeah
like a book of like predictions and like you know what I mean?
yeah but it's strange because it's like we're so like passed down like our intelligence
Oh yeah.
like it's just fascinating like we just know like past people like we everything we know is from the past like past lives and like this like I don't know meta like brain that we all just like get put into our into our bodies.
Yeah, and I was thinking a lot about like social the social environment of how people are raised and um I was starting to do like some research on like DNA and like DNA like are we able to like somehow genetically alter our DNA as time passes? You know what I mean? So like I might have character traits or like you have character traits of like your parents. But
Mhm.
like is there a point where those get manipulated and kind of shift? You know what I mean?
Yeah, just
I
like
don't
where it becomes its own.
Yeah, or like do we have the power to like manipulate our DNA to like break that pattern and that structure? You know what I mean?
Okay, yeah, yeah.
So like does does like our genetics really define us? And then is there a way for us to like break that genetic code and create a new code? I don't know. I'm not a scientist. I'm just think deep
Yeah.
sometimes.
No, that's a whole I feel like that's a whole other thing.
Yeah,
That's like a yeah.
I'll do some more research and then I'll get back to you on that. But it's like that,
Yeah.
I think about that kind of stuff all the time.
I mean, you got the time now.
Yeah, right. I think about altering my DNA and vintage band shirts. All that's all I do.
That doesn't sound like too bad.
Yeah.
Sounds like a pretty good like standard day.
I don't know. I just
I
yeah.
know it's like it's it's definitely like living the way we are is it's a lot,
It is,
but
and it's like I just think that we this is like a perfect time. I'm actually really grateful for this year because I think a lot of things have been like revealed,
oh,
and
for sure.
a lot of things have been exposed, and realizations have come to a head, and I've like learned a lot about myself that I never thought like I had character traits of like I used to think I was always like a super social person, but like I actually really enjoy like my solitude and like being and I don't know if that's like age or like what it is, but I think that this has been a really reflective. I mean, this is like true like when people talk about like the end of like or like the beginning of a new like if like in like new age concepts, it's like oh this like new age is coming. Well, like this is it. Like this is like
Oh, for sure. Like there's just like you know, so many negative things definitely have hit their peak and have happened this year. But it's just like I'd like to believe that like we can just like now that we have seen those things and we've exposed those things, we're just like, okay, we know where we're at. Let's turn it around. Like this is like the new time.
yeah.
Like, so what? We have to wear a mask every day just to be alive.
Yeah.
Cool with that. As long as we can fix all the other
Oh,
shit that is.
and those pesky fires that keep, erupting because people have gender reveal parties. It's
Seriously.
I mean, it's we're getting it from like all sides. Like the external, the internal, everything is just like on fire.
And it's so strange because it's like, we had a time to feel collective as the Earth, and now it's just like, nope, America, you guys are singled out.
Yeah. We like
So it's
wants to talk to us.
yeah, we're like the asshole kid in a class that like just like was like finally like, nope, you got to sit in that corner.
Yeah, you're in like suspension.
Yeah, it's like
So,
you guys had so much time to figure this out, and you just kept screwing it up.
uh,
I it's strange because it's like we have I don't know. There's always like that, always kind of feeling closed in, I guess, feeling where it's like I don't know. We're always like super internal, like personally, but like now it's like collectively we're all kind of like ostracized from like from everybody almost. Like you have like other countries just like, nope, you're never going to be coming to our country again, or like different groups like, nope, you're not a part of this group, or
yeah.
like
Well, and it's like kind of strange how like even us having this conversation, right? Like the beginning, like I mean, I think my social skills of interacting with people has like become a little like broken because I think that like I think it's because like the lack of seeing people has like made me kind of like be like, how do I communicate with other people,
sure.
But I don't know. I this has been a I think that this is a really interesting year, and I think that it was a long time coming.
Oh yeah, for numerous reasons. It's just like we're so blind to so many things that we thought were like taken care of, and which is crazy because like yeah, like centuries have passed, those things should have been taken care of, but it's just like nope, like this is ingrained in America's history of just being like prejudice and racist and
Phobic, everything.
yeah, it's like this is what America was built on, and you're just like, whoa.
Dude, I and it's not like and not to even make this like overly political, but I just think even like the
Sure.
for years have just been really like a Twilight Zone episode, like a fever dream, and like questioning like questioning like what's real, like what I'm being fed this, but like it's contradictory to the I don't know. It's been I think the past 4 years are going to be like in the history books as being like listen to this stuff because it's just so out of control.
It's like this is where everything got fucked up. Never let it happen again.
Yeah,
Like we make these history books for you to learn from the past so things don't happen again and things don't get messed up. But this chapter,
yeah,
2016 to 2020, pay attention to this.
yeah, because you guys, this could happen again.
Don't let this happen again.
What
We already
with like the pandemic though, I did like it is kind of really strange to think about like graduations and stuff like that. Like I had to graduate online, and
mhm,
I had John Waters as my speaker for my graduation.
that's sweet.
And do you want to know something really weird?
Okay.
So 4 years ago, when I decided to go to college, I was like, okay, I'm going to go to art school, and I'm going to kick ass in it, and it's going to be fun. And I was like, you know what would really top it off if John Waters spoke at my graduation ceremony. And then
Some magic.
he did.
That's amazing.
It was very weird. I mean, like that's a very niche request to ask, and it was fulfilled kind of, you know.
Sure.
I
Not
want.
in person, but
I think there was like I don't know what I would have done if I met him in person though, because like he's just like such like an enigma that I would probably
yeah.
out. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't imagine. I feel like he's just like there's like certain people that like you imagine are like super approachable, like super down to earth, but there's just like this aura of just like, oh my God, this like you're that person. Like like oh shit, I can't I like
Genesis, manifestation, quantum physics. Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
nice.
I believe in that kind of stuff. But yeah, he is like somebody that would be like, I could see him speaking in front of like thousands and thousands of people, but then also like just sitting casually at a bar and like enjoying a cocktail, which is actually kind of what he does. Like in Baltimore, he just goes to
Just
like a
hangs out.
local bar and no one bothers him. And
Well, sure. It's like I don't should I go up to him? No, I
yeah,
don't know. Oh.
that's like the ultimate question, right? That's like with any like musician. You're like, oh my god, do I do it? Do I talk to them? You know?
Yeah, totally. Like even it seems so silly because even here, like when I first moved here, seeing all the bands that I grew up listening
Oh yeah,
to, and I was like so close to them finally. I was just like, oh my God, like
this is like so real.
yeah. And then just like finally like, oh yeah, like you know, they're in Omaha, their hometown, like there's chill people.
It's funny leaving Omaha and then like or like growing up in Omaha and then leaving there um and moving to the East Coast like you don't really understand like the magnitude of all that stuff that was going on until like you're outside of it because in Omaha you didn't really it didn't feel like it was like that big of a deal but like outside like everybody
Sure.
knew who all those bands were
Yeah.
and it's just like it's really I mean it's really cool but it's just like and then you kind of just come to like you realize that like you were part like you were witness to like this like amazing you know birth of like you know the resurgence of like indie rock music and it's just it's cool.
Yeah. I imagine because like even like living in different parts of the country, I've seen a few Omaha acts like here in Omaha and then out in like I've seen a couple in Portland and then some in like Pittsburgh and Buffalo and crowd reactions. Like I get like I know it sucks seeing a show in Omaha. Most people are just kind of like,
Yeah, what's up with that? Everyone's just like yeah you know
but
like
like going to like seeing them in other places and they're just like, yeah.
yeah
Because
it's
I didn't get it at first, where like when I came here and I saw bands that were from here, like like what happened was I would see them here and then I saw them later out at different places. But so like seeing them here like for the first time and they're all just kind of like, I have to play this show. Like this sucks. Like the crowd sucks. I was like, why does this crowd suck? Why aren't the musicians happy? But I got it.
yeah dude, I thought that was always so funny like with like in the music scene there's just like this like it was this whole like it was like a look and it was just like very like staunch and just like you know like like you were unimpressed by everything but like also but like internally you're like am I looking cool like it just was like a total but I don't know I wouldn't trade it for like the world I like loved being a part of that and like seeing that happen.
Sure. I mean, it had to have influenced a lot of you and like a lot of what you do now.
Well, I'll tell you something. Like, I always like, especially like in the music scene in Omaha. Like, but I went to like, I was, I was really into like all the indie music, but I was also like into like raves and club culture. So like, I had this weird mixed fusion of like these different kinds of like subcultures that were happening in Omaha, and I always felt that like the local music scene and the people that would attend those shows were always the most open-minded, the most diverse, the most accepting than like any other like uh, group of people that I'm like supposedly supposed to associate with. And so like there was, I don't know. So I have nothing but like amazing things about the Omaha community. I'm so grateful for them, and I get it. I have like the coolest friends on the planet. You know.
Yeah, that's awesome. Like I feel like the people the people here really make each other like they're when people in Omaha like work together, there's no like with no competition, we can really like just make each other explode and make it like really
Yeah.
interesting. And that was like part of like when I was coming back to Omaha, I was like, there's so many creative people, there's so many talented people. Like if we could all just like work together, like you know, like just get like this attention from New York City or from LA, and like and like because like there's an amazing music scene which like it got a lot of notoriety for, but like there's a super amazing art scene that like we get some mention of some of the time.
The Bemis is a pretty big thing. Like
Yeah,
it was mentioned in a lot of my art classes,
that's awesome.
programs and stuff. So it's like it's on the map.
That's
But
good. I mean, they bring in a lot of talented people for
oh yeah,
sure outside of like Omaha. So like
and like I
uh,
don't like the if it's like the isolation of being like landlocked and kind of I think that there's like a energetic vortex in that city because the most eclectic people that you could think of come from come from that city, and they're everyone's just like equally genius, and everyone's like just doing the it's so offbeat and just like it's great.
I love it. Like just meeting different artists where I'm just like, maybe it's like nothing that I'm like particularly into, but it's just like you're amazing at that.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Like you should have a show. Like I don't know. It's just like it's so weird like how like small like Omaha art world is because they try to mimic big world art world when it's like we should just celebrate everybody. Like there's a pool of talent. Like I don't know. I mean, obviously it's a little bit different now during quarantine where there aren't really art shows like in physical
Yeah.
spaces. But I mean, art's still like we need to be like I don't know. Obviously, I've been seeing a lot of like art's what helps you through like tough times or like the dark times, and like we
Mhm.
need more art during like these times. And so like I like that's kind of part of like this is like I think we all need to connect. I think we all need to like help each other like put each other out there more and just be creative together
Oh
and
yeah.
keep spreading the love basically and just like
Well, and I think like in like the terms of like collaboration and like working with like kind of going full circle of like how we started this conversation. Um,
mhm.
we're talking about like community and like the importance of community, and like especially like during this time. And there was an idea that I had, which I might just eventually just do because I think it would be just kind of like a experiment in seeing how people would participate. But I wanted to do like this like open ended. Oh hi, this is Ryan. My friend Ryan just joined the chat. She's an amazing artist
Okay.
and a brilliant human being. Um, but I wanted to do this Instagram um, account where I just like give the password out, give the username out, and then anybody could just get on it and post artwork. And you can't like delete it. You
Yeah, you
can't
can't
it's just this like free for all, but it has to be like artwork. You know what I mean?
sure. Yeah, you can't have like whoever knows what could get
Yeah,
posted.
yeah. No, like but it has to be like work you make, but it's like this, like, you know. And so I think that would be kind of an interesting way to communicate and to kind of connect everybody, even though it would be conflicting mediums or styles or messages, or you know what I mean. And I think that that would be kind of a, and it's also kind of like an experiment in like chaos.
Sure. No,
Oh
it's very um, Maximus or
yeah, kind of, yeah, right. Maximal
yeah, where it's
maximalist, just kind of like,
maximalist.
yeah,
Yeah,
like anything
art
goes.
terms.
Yeah, I don't even know what words are anymore.
I don't know how to communicate with people that aren't a 3-year-old.
Yeah, right. So is your kid like watching like is your kid watching Yo Gabba Gabba? Because I think that was probably the best show for like.
He was very big on that, like ages 1 to 2. Like, still he'll watch it. There's like a few in particular that he like really loves. There's the um, "Party in My Tummy"
Oh,
song,
so good.
and he just like loses his shit for it.
That show, like I was, it's the guy from the Aquabats created that,
hmm
and I just loved the idea of that show. Like the show itself, I'm just like, okay, it's like kind of annoying, but it's also like really visually amazing. Like it's so hypnotic and just so out there. And like the sets were really cool, the costumes were really cool, and so I,
Yeah, there's been a few shows where it's just like he loved Pee-wee's Playhouse,
oh yeah,
which I was like, yes, yes, please embrace this. This is what you should be into as a 2-year-old.
yeah,
Um, I mean, it's interesting, like watching kid shows, I guess, like being in your 30s.
yeah, and like there was like so much like adult humor and children's television
It's
that
weird.
geared for adults. That like we know you're watching this, you know.
Yeah, there's like I remember watching Pets for the first time with Morrissey, and like there's just like that whole scene where they're in like a hot dog factory, and it's just like it cuts to like this dream sequence of the two dogs with all these hot dogs dancing around to "We Go Together" from Greece,
Oh my god.
and it's just like this is like weird and kind of like sexual because it's like all these like hot dogs, like female and male hot dogs, like partying.
Yeah, that's a little suggestive.
I think it was around the same time as like Sausage Party, that like
Oh, that was
Seth Rogen
yeah. I never
one. I never saw it either.
out of touch with like pop culture. I don't know. After like 2009, I kind of was like, okay, I'm retiring from anything current. So I have a hard time keeping up.
Oh, that's I like it took me about like 2 years to finally like catch up on some stuff, like movie wise. Um, it's weird because it's like obviously like at work or wherever you are, like people are always talking about like, oh, like did you see this show or have you watched this movie? It's like you got nope.
I was like when Stranger Things came out, I binged watched that whole thing, and then
Mhm.
I don't know, like there was just a point where I just was like, oh, I'm watching so many hours of television that like I'm losing track of like my time and what I'm doing. So then
For
I
sure.
cut that off, and I was like, and I just kind of never really got back on the wagon. And so I've been, I don't know anything about any current TV shows or anything. I just watch the
Yeah,
girls and like old reruns of Wife Swap. Like that's what I watch.
interesting.
Like that's I love that show. It's like the stupidest like reality show on the planet.
It's a weird one. It's totally a weird one.
It's
It's
like
like
a dream to be on that show. Like I would have like my friend be like, you need to pretend to be like, I don't even know how it would happen because I'm gay. Whatever, it doesn't matter. I think I would pretend to like
that shouldn't matter.
have a baby, and I get to swap lives with like I don't know,
Yeah.
like West Virginia, and I don't know. I just love that. It's just love. It's just so weird, but
Yeah. It's any of those kind of shows are such a weird concept because you're just like when you see like how different the two the wives are, you're just like,
I know. Well, and it's like a little exploitative too. It was reality TV was such a strange thing back. I don't even know if it's even like a thing that much anymore. But back in the early 2000s, that was like really crazy.
yeah, I mean, they're definitely not as good as they are. I'm sorry, I'm trying to I might have to switch to my iPad because my phone is dying.
Oh, shit. And is too actually. So maybe we should just
Oh, yeah,
here.
yeah, let's just wrap it up.
We could always have a part two.
We could have a part two.
I think
I like it's weird because it's like I don't feel like these things should really have an end. They could just be continual conversations.
100%. I am totally on board with the idea.
Cool. Yeah, we should just I'll like revisit.
To be,
Revisit like yeah, just I'll keep adding new guests, but then like we'll catch up in like another week or two.
yeah, or whenever. There,
Or
you know,
who knows?
who knows? Whenever, it's spontaneous. Well, thank you
Um,
so much for this opportunity. This was really sweet. Nice to
yeah.
get up.
Thank you for wanting to be a part of this, Mark.
Yeah, and it was just nice to hang out and talk. And
Yeah, I mean, the last few times that I've seen you, they're always like super brief and while I'm at work. So it's like,
I'm like, oh, it's funny because I'll go to Whole Foods and I'm like, oh, at least I'll see a few of my friends there because I know they'll be working. So,
yeah. So it's nice to actually like catch up with you outside
yeah,
of normal or normal, I guess, life.
Paul,
Yeah.
hours of operation.
Yeah.
So,
But
oh,
yes, we'll have to catch up again. Anybody that's watched this or still watching this,
yeah, we
follow.
solid views throughout this whole thing. Someone's been really into it, so I really like.
Yes, thank you. Thank you guys for watching. Thank
Yeah,
you, everyone. Follow Mark. New objects,
is
right?
my art page. The Rip Talk is my podcast, and then just my regular social is Mark and the Heart. So,
You should partake in following any of Mark's
oh,
social media.
back.
Yeah, thank you for being part of this thing.
It was really fun to be a part of it. So,
Cool. It's good to see you, Mark.
good to see you too. Let's talk soon, Chris.
Yes,
All
very
right,
soon.
we love
All
you.
right, have a good night.
You too.
Oh,
Bye.
bye.